basically, the topic I wanted to cover today, which I relate to very personally, is sort of the mindset of a student athlete. This could be, at the high school level, anyone aspiring to compete at the college level, um, really across the board, because amidst the craziness that is 2020, and through all the pandemic, I know one of the pieces that has really affected people is the inability to compete in the sports that they love. And obviously health and well-being comes first and foremost for everybody, but I know that a lot of people are struggling with not being able to compete in their sport, whether it was a fall sport or an upcoming sport this winter that is yet to be seen, one way or the other, but at least is pushed back um, indefinitely. And then even looking forward to the spring, it's such an unpredictable time, and I can't imagine what any senior, junior, even sophomore, freshman, what you guys would be going through, having to miss out on that season. So I kind of just wanted to share a little bit of my story, because on some level I feel like I could relate to that, but also give a little bit of incentive going forward, of how you could still be proactive in a difficult time, as well as what to expect through athletics. So we have the portrait of a student athlete, so a holistic approach. These were two shots taken of my time during playing at Springfield College, just for reference there. But my bio, as Sam had said, I graduated in 2014 from Monument. I competed in soccer, basketball, and tennis. Although I'd say soccer was my favorite sport. Again, I sympathize with all you student athletes out there, just because I really couldn't imagine how I would feel missing out on any one of those sports seasons during the academic year. I was at Springfield College. I was class of 2018, where I played soccer for 4 years. Following graduation, bit of an overlap there I'll touch on in a little bit. But I got an opportunity to go play in the Swedish third division for a new club, the Scandinavian Football Club, and then returned back for the winter months, where I worked in the school district and coached basketball before returning to Sweden, up a division, trying out for a new club, and spent 2019 over there as well. So I guess the best way is starting back, telling a little bit about my time as a student athlete at Monument. I was fortunate to get some good high level experience, soccer wise, at a young age, and obviously built anticipation up towards the end of my high school career. I was part of a group of 4 freshmen that got to get some varsity level experience our first year, and then that number in our class continued to grow our sophomore year. I think maybe up to 7 or 8, with a strong junior class ahead of us at the time. So the stage was really set for a very junior senior heavy lineup, both our junior year as well as our senior year. So very much looking forward to those seasons. Junior year, still not sure exactly what was up. I believe maybe growing pains. I went to 4 different doctors. I got 4 different responses of what they thought was my issue. Needless to say, for my junior year of soccer, I was out until just before the postseason. And I guess a stress fracture in my lower back would be the best guess I have. But that was a tough one to watch, just because, again, we had a really strong senior class ahead of us, very junior heavy, definitely a lot of anticipation building up for that season. So that was a really tough one, as any season would be, but especially that year to really miss out on. So, obviously a year goes by. It was a fun basketball season, fun tennis season. I really loved just competing in athletics throughout high school. And, at the end of summer, heading into senior year of soccer, I went to the doctor because I was having a little bit of pain in my leg, and turns out I had a stress fracture in my right shin. So again, I was out for the bulk of senior year. Fortunately, was able to return maybe a couple weeks before postseason had started, so a little bit better of a spot than the year before. But again, just still really not great, especially later in high school when I was trying to wrap my head around where I wanted to go to college. I wanted to keep playing soccer as long as I could. So obviously that took a hit because, junior year especially, but junior and senior year, those are two pretty pivotal recruiting opportunities for student athletes. So I followed every piece of advice I could from a medical standpoint, a lot of rehab, a lot of rest, but mentally just really not in a good place. I was trying some pretty bizarre strategies of trying to speed up the healing process. Junior year, I remember I slept for 2 months on a hardwood floor. I had a blanket and a pillow. That was it. Hoping that, maybe that would realign my back, because no one seemed to know what was wrong with that. Senior year, fortunately, I met up with a few medical practitioners, and I tried some new techniques, which actually worked very well for me, including acupuncture. And I think I had my shin wrapped in cabbage leaves at one point, which again, I don't want to speak too much into that because I really don't know the science behind it. But again, it did speed up the process in terms of what one doctor estimated over the next in terms of a recovery period. But again, it was just mentally in a really bad place. Just missing out on the sports that I love to play and compete in. So I had decided pretty early on Springfield College. It was either the first or second school I had ever gone to an open house at. I fell in love with it, and I wanted to see what I could do to make it happen. I wanted to go to the school. I wanted to, try and see if I could compete playing soccer there. It was kind of a pretty clear vision of mine ever since the start of junior year. So what I did was I went to their summer camp that they did. It was a 4-day overnight camp specific to Springfield College. I know especially a lot of student athletes who are aspiring to play at the college level, there's a lot of opportunities out there in terms of camps, clinics, showcases, a lot of different options that you may have. And especially if you're missing out on a sports season that would, have an impact on competing at the college level, I would highly recommend starting to do your research now if you haven't already. My recommendation, I know the idea of a larger showcase is probably a little bit more appealing, more eyes, more coaches, more different schools watching you. But just keep in mind, again, numbers wise, it's a little bit tougher, to be seen. It just presents a sort of a different array of challenges. Whereas if it's a specific camp for a certain school, you have a little bit more of a clear-cut picture of who you're going up against. The longer ones over the duration of a few days, a few nights, where there's more opportunities to be seen by the same group of coaches, future teammates perhaps at whatever college that you would choose. That would be my recommendation to first gear your search towards the specific camps for a school that you're interested in. So that's kind of the route I took. I went to the summer camp going into senior year of high school, and that was in 2013. Again, it was a really good experience for me. I didn't feel like I stood out by any stretch of the imagination, but at the same time, I felt relationships starting to form with some of the assistant coaches there. So I felt like, keep at it. There's hopefully a foot in the door. So then in the spring of 2014, I did a clinic there, which this was my third time going to the school. And it was the spring of 2014 that finally I got an invite to the preseason. So one of the bigger pieces that had attracted me to Springfield was kind of the philosophy behind the school, and that embodied the the spirit, mind, and body. So especially being hurt through my junior and senior year in high school, I was really focused on what can I do to repair my body, to rehab, to rest, but strictly focusing on the physical. And again, one of the more important lessons I took away over the next 4 years at Springfield was it really takes a balance across the whole spectrum between your mind, your body, and, just your sense of self. It doesn't have to be titled as your spirit, but, it's just sort of, it's what you're passionate about. It's what makes you, you. So instead of just focusing on the physical and strictly focusing there, it's, you gotta involve the whole big picture. So one of the things that I sort of embodied over my next 4 years at Springfield was, I wanted to be a student of the game. I wanted to, compete at the highest level that I could, me personally, as well as best I could in the forum that I was playing in. So, there's obviously only so much that you can do physically training wise. There's, different tactics that you can use here and there, but again, it's got to be the whole spectrum. So, speaking with my coach and a couple other teammates, there's certainly strategies that I use to train my mind, as well as, little things that reminded myself every day, especially when the going got tough, of why I love what I love to do. And that's, that was competing and playing soccer. Certainly there was a lot of time where, whether school was tough or I just really wasn't quite there, mentally, there was a lot of times where I kind of had to reassure myself that, okay, this is still something I want to compete at, and I still enjoy doing this. So why do I love it? And that, even if it's just a few minutes a day, amidst, being a student athlete, which is, a difficult task as it is, that really helped ground myself. These are 3 books that I read in college, all of which served different purposes that I loved. Above the Line, Urban Meyer, he's the coach at the Ohio State football team. That was a book dedicated more so towards leadership, more specifically sports leadership. Anson Dorrance, The Vision of a Champion, still my favorite player to this day. Mia Hamm, really just embodies what, in my mind, it means to compete. And then Mind Gym was one that our college coach shared with us. And that was a lot about visualization and the importance of mental preparation for athletics, as well as the physical side. Another one of the pieces that was the most beneficial for me to mentally up my game was watching the highest level that I could. And by watching, I don't mean for leisure, just enjoying, as much as I do enjoy watching. In this case, I love watching soccer. I've got my favorite teams. I love to kick back and watch a game. But there's a difference between watching and really studying, what the team is doing, tactically how they're moving, watching individual players. Okay, how does, his movement on the field in relation to his teammates, his decision making. a lot of the it took a lot more, you know, level of focus, I guess, and just a different approach to watching these games. But I found that very helpful, and certainly something I would recommend, especially in a team sport. Working with teammates. Coming to mind, I think volleyball, basketball, very, very important, because your movement and decision making is completely contingent on your teammate to your right and your teammate to your left. So watching the highest level that you can and taking away what you can from those athletes is very, very beneficial. And then I just wanted to share a couple of these. I know it might be a little bit difficult to see, but in season, I think this was maybe the fall of my junior year. This was sort of my weekly schedule between classes, um, soccer obligations, um, really just kind of the whole picture of an in-season look as a collegiate student athlete. And then another look at here's the out of season. And honestly, I'd say the out of season was even maybe a little bit tougher than in season in terms of, the time commitment and sort of the things that I had to check off the list every day. But again, it was very challenging. And, as preparing to be a student athlete at the college level, you have to be ready for that. There's definitely going to be a lot of periods where it's difficult, and it's going to test, how much do I really want to do this? Because, it does take its toll. And then I put together a little schedule for the summer months. Again, just balancing training, work, a little bit of leisure time, of course, enjoy the summer with friends. And obviously I didn't follow this to a T, any one of these schedules, but again, it helped, balancing time to kind of spread it out and have a visual. Okay, this is what my week looks like. I can make time here or there, because obviously nothing's set in stone on a weekly basis as a college student. So after college, soccer season's a fall sport. It ended, in early November, senior year. And I just, I still kind of had a bug and still wanted to keep chasing the game as long as I could. So I stayed fit, and I attended a combine down in Orlando, January of 2018. And at that combine, I actually met a coach who had a club in Sweden in the 3rd division, and he said, "I'd love for you to come over in March." And I got it worked out with my professors that I was able to finish my degree abroad while playing over there for the bulk of 2018. Came back home later in the fall. Obviously spent time working in the school district, but in the midst of, going to several trials, one of which in South Carolina, because in American soccer, for those who wouldn't know, they had just implemented a 3-league tier system. So there was a whole lot of new teams, basically a new branch of American soccer. So a lot of opportunity for players like myself who were trying to continue their soccer careers. Unfortunately, didn't pan out, but I was able to get a trial with another club in Sweden that I went to in the February of 2019 in the 2nd division, and that was where I was able to make that team and compete at the professional level in the 2nd division. So that was everything that I had really hoped for, and was happy to see that pan out. So one of the bigger pieces, especially as a student athlete, this is at the high school level even, is in order to, promote yourself, you got to learn to market yourself. This includes, what athletic resume you're going to put together, your highlight reel, as well as how to conduct, emails and messages to college coaches. So you guys, can you see this screen?
Yep.
Okay. So just a couple quick points. And again, this is the kind of stuff that I really would love to help people with. It's stuff that I've kind of had a mix of mentors as well as self-taught just by trial and error over, the course of the last 6 years. So some of the keys to an effective highlight video, regardless of the sport, any coach watching is going to decide in the first few seconds. I was always told 10 to 15 at best, what they thought of it and what they thought of you. So the key is really just, you got to hook them right off the bat. You got to hook them. And after the first 15 seconds or so, it's over the course of the next 30 seconds where you should really have your best stuff. This could be any aspect of the game, whatever sport that you're competing in, offense, defense, on the ball, off the ball, really just your best stuff. Because again, the longer the video goes on, the less they're really gonna, be as attentive as they would be in that first period of time to really hook them. The sequence of events is very important. Obviously, after that first minute, most clips go, obviously this is the kind of thing that I would love to answer questions about in the future, but the timing of video, as well as the, what categories you would break your highlight reel down into, is very, very important in terms of, how to present yourself. So then a couple bigger takeaways that I learned from my experience was just sort of the keys to marketing yourself. Any coach that you're going to communicate with that's going to be interested in you, they're going to want more than just the athlete. They're going to want the people. So what are the intangibles that you bring to the table? Are you a good teammate? Are you fit? Your level of fitness is something that you can always control. Whatever clinic, camp you go to, they will always take into consideration, okay, he's ready to go, she's ready to go, they're here to compete. Your fitness is essential. Ask questions. That's probably the biggest one. You show you're interested, by words, through actions. You want to learn. You want to learn about the school. You want to learn about the program. You want to know, because the more that you can learn about what the experience would be like, the more you present to the floor, okay, I want to be here. And trust me, that's what a lot of these coaches and future teammates are looking for. And then, these days, especially, a player resume in a video is very, very common, if not a necessary component to the recruiting process. So again, this is just sort of a little picture. This is the college resume I put together, as well as an email I composed to a coach in Sweden. Again, the structure of which I'd be happy to answer any questions on down the road. Again, my email's posted. Please feel free if you want any advice or help moving forward with that. And then I just wanted to leave you guys with this picture. It's just one of my favorite quotes. I'm not even sure if it's a famous quote by anybody, but it's just a good mindset to attack anything with. It doesn't have to be athletics. It could be an objective you want to reach in school, in your personal life. But the bottom line is, even when times get difficult, 6 months from now, you're going to wish that you started today. So even in a pandemic, even, trust me, I know what it's like to miss a sports season. It is brutal, especially, if it's one that you really care about, playing with your best friends, sport you love being active, it sucks. But there's still a lot of positive things that you can do to be proactive in this difficult time. And again, if your goal is to compete at the college level, looking ahead to next year, when hopefully, we've seen some light at the end of this tunnel, you're going to wish that you started today. And I would love to help anyone achieve that moving forward. Okay, so that's my presentation. I hope again that if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help in any way I can. Yeah.
Growing up, my family owns a small business, Bartlett's Apple Orchard. So I always kind of knew that I wanted to study business in college because I was very interested in, everything that went on in my family's business. So it just kind of made sense to me that I was going to pursue that as a college education. But one thing that I struggled with at Monument is there weren't many ways to pursue that interest while we were still in high school. So when I got to college, I kind of really didn't know much about business or the different business majors that I was going to be able to pursue. So that's why I'm here today, is to share some of that information. So I'm going to present on exploring business majors and some of the careers that will follow with a business degree. So just a little bit about myself. As Sam said, I graduated from Monument in 2017, had a unique interest in business from a young age due to my parents and the family business. Right now, I am studying for my CPA exam, which is 4 exams they have to take to become a certified public accountant, as well as obtaining my Master's of Science in Accounting. I kind of just rolled into it from my undergrad degree, and I decided to just stick at UMass and complete my master's degree there. So obviously different schools have different business majors that you can pursue, but these 6 majors are ones that you will find at most business schools. So they're finance, accounting, management, marketing, operations and information management, as well as hospitality and tourism management. And so some schools allow you to combine these degrees or, major in one and minor in another. But at my school, Eisenberg, you kind of just need to stick with one and pursue your field of study in one concentration. So I chose accounting. I declared that my freshman year just because accounting, as this slide says, is the language of business. It is the backbone of every business. You cannot have a business without having any accounting. So accounting, as I said, the language of business. In school, you're going to learn how to record complex financial transactions, analyze financial statements, audit financial statements, and other various reports, as well as learning about business and personal taxation. And I would just like to say, when people think of accounting, everyone thinks immediately taxes, and that's all you do as an accountant. I can tell you, I've taken 2 tax classes, disliked both of them, and knew that wasn't the career study I wanted to pursue. So there are other things to do in accounting with an accounting degree other than be a tax preparer or tax expert. You can expect to take classes in cost accounting, taxation, financial reporting, accounting information systems, auditing, and business law from your accounting major. And then, so a finance major. Another common misconception is that accounting and finance are the same thing. They're very, very, very different. So finance is the study of money and its relation to time and risk. You will learn in school as a finance major to do long-term financial and budget planning. You will learn how to make financial predictions. So when you think of financial predictions, you think of what's the stock market going to do? Where is that money going to go? Learn how to raise debt and equity capital, and then also traditional and alternative investments in global financial markets. Finance is a very, very complex field of study, and most schools will have different concentrations within their finance major to, get down to the nitty-gritty stuff in a certain area of finance. But core finance classes you can find are advanced corporate finance, corporate risk management, bank management, capital markets and institutions, international finance, and options. And then more holistic majors that you'll see in most schools will have, even small liberal arts colleges will have, is a management degree. It focuses on social, political, and economic change, recruitment and hiring of your workforce, forming and transforming organizations, understanding workplaces, techniques of decision making, and organizational structure and design. So these are all things that when I think of a company, these are not things that I would think of. And taking a management class and looking at a management degree, these are all things that each company needs to focus on and has decisions to make around. And it's a really cool changing major as, you know, technology and businesses change. And so this major is, you know, training you to keep up with those changes. So you can expect to take classes in understanding workplaces, globalizing, forming and transforming organizations, small business management, social, political, and economic change, as well as entrepreneurship and society. And then a marketing major, you are thinking about and learning about what products customers need and want, how to communicate with an audience, where to sell products, how to price products, why and when consumers buy. So as a consumer, these are all things that you probably don't think about when you're buying a product, but marketing majors are learning how to specifically target you to buy their product. And that's something that you probably don't think about, but I'm sure when you're on social media nowadays, you're getting targeted ads for things that you maybe texted about or, you know, were on Safari looking at. This is all the new wave and face of marketing, and that's what you're kind of learning about in school now. So you're going to expect to take classes in internet marketing, marketing for a sustainable business, and for sure that includes, you know, how to use the internet to your advantage, advertising and promotional strategy, services marketing, customer relationship management, and then social media, technology, and culture, and how that's changing the marketing world. And then operations and information management, which is definitely something I didn't know about when I went to school, but nowadays with how technology is changing, businesses are collecting data on consumers and people, and they're collecting so much data that they don't know what to do with it and how to use it to their advantage. So this major is kind of, you know, training you and helping you look at data and helping you like streamline companies' processes or use that data to their advantage. So you're going to be looking at analytics and how to visualize data, demand planning, database systems, supply chain management. As we've seen with the pandemic, there's been numerous issues with supply chains in America, project management, as well as quality assurance. So expect to take classes in all sorts of things. And just like with the finance major, most schools will have the opportunity to, you know, further down this degree into something more nitty gritty. So say you just wanted to focus on supply chain management, you would take, you know, more focused classes on that. Or you wanted to talk about and focus on quality assurance and, you know, data, you would take specific classes for that. So like I said, you can take classes in business intelligence and analytics, manufacturing and service operations, quality management, business processes and enterprise systems, supply chain, and then data mining, which is becoming ever more important. And then this is a major that not all schools will have, but it is something that, you know, is important to America and every other country's economy. So it is kind of a cool major. It's hospitality and tourism. So when you think of hospitality, you're learning about lodging management, like hotels, food and beverage management, customer experience management. So, you know, when you're calling a 1-800 number to talk to customer service reps, you know, maybe you're not talking to a hospitality and tourism management rep at that time, but someone overseeing them is probably has a degree in something like this. Event management, so that could be, you know, Madison Square Garden, that could be the Boston Red Sox, like their sales and their event management. So there's lots of opportunities and things to learn about in hospitality and tourism. You can expect to take classes in lodging operations, special events, food service, revenue management, casino management, and then risk and sanitation management. One thing I do know that is a really cool class that UMass offers for their hospitality and tourism management is a beverage class, and you learn all about beverages. So you're literally just making, margaritas and learning about beer and the different kinds of wine and, all about them. So you're able to share with your customers all that information. And that's a class that everyone tries to get into their senior year, but it's only open for hospitality and tourism management majors. So before I start talking about careers, I want to talk about my career path a little bit. So Monument does have an internship opportunity that juniors and seniors can take advantage of. Obviously, probably not right now with the pandemic going on, but my senior year, I was fortunate enough to be part of this program, and I got my foot in the door with business at that time, and it turned into a summer job for 2 years. And so I interned at the Red Lion Inn with Main Street Hospitality Group. So the Main Street Hospitality Group is growing, but at the time that I interned with them, they were owning and operating the Red Lion Inn, as well as the Briarcliff Motel right past down Monument, Hotel on North in Pittsfield, the Porches Inn at Massamoka, and then as well as providing like cafe services for Norman Rockwell Museum and the Mount. So they had all sorts of different things going on. And so I was fortunate to learn a little bit about hospitality and tourism management. And I also spent time in their accounting and human resources departments. And that's kind of where and how I decided that I really liked accounting, because that was my favorite type of work to do when I was interning. And so I went to UMass for a year, finished my freshman year, came back and interned at the Red Lion Inn again after my freshman year of college. And then going into my sophomore year, I was looking for something new, and I was like, I don't really want to live at home this summer. So I was looking for opportunities like kind of in the Pioneer Valley so I could live at school during the summer. And I applied to this internship, internal audit at this company called ISO New England. Had no idea what it was, but I was like, it's internal audit, it's in Holyoke, cool, sounds good. Well, I got an interview and I looked up what it was, and it's the company that controls the power grids for all of New England. So I applied for a business-focused internship at this company that I knew absolutely nothing about. I don't know anything about the power grid or electrical engineering or any of that stuff. So that was like a really eye-opening experience thing for me, because I had to learn about things I didn't know to go into an internship, but it also showed me, it was a perfect example of all businesses, no matter what industry they're in, whether they're, a not-for-profit power grid operator or a bank or, it's Amazon. They need accounting, finance, marketing. They need all of these essential functions. And that internship really opened my eyes to it, because my department that I was working in was 4 people in a company of 250 plus. So that was, and most of those are all engineers and scientists and people working on things I had no idea about. But it was really cool and to open my eyes that business is needed for any company. And then I also knew I wanted to go into public accounting. I got training and studying for my certified public accounting certification. So this past summer, I interned virtually with PricewaterhouseCoopers, which is a Big 4 accounting firm. It was virtual, it was only 2 weeks. It was really sad. So the pandemic kind of took that away from me. I was supposed to spend 10 weeks in Boston, interning in their office. So that was a big change, but I was still offered a full-time position, and I will be starting with them in the fall of 2021. So that's very exciting. But I wanted to share my experience because, it's never too early to start, get your foot in the door. And I also, it's, it's important to take different opportunities. Like I didn't want to go work at an electrical, like engineering place, but it was really important to my career and my career progress. So I think that's important to share. And now I'll get into, sharing some careers that you can get with these specific degrees. So as I said, accounting, majority of accounting majors, at least at my school, go into public accounting where you're providing auditing, tax, advisory, and consulting services. There's the big four accounting firms, which are EY, Deloitte, KPMG, and PwC. You go to a business school, you'll hear a lot about these firms. But there's also smaller national firms, mid-sized regional firms, firms with one office. But it's all licensed professionals, CPA. And what you're doing is you're certifying their financial statements and you're making sure that they are good and effective for investors to use. But then also, like I said, there's private accounting, which includes work inside all business, government, and nonprofit entities. So you could go work for the town of Pittsfield. You could work for the biggest company in the world, Amazon. But all businesses, nonprofits, they all need accountants. So like I said, it could be any employer in any industry, and as well as many public accountants eventually work in the private sector. So then careers in finance, there's obviously various professional tracks for a finance major. There's the traditional, like Wall Street. So you're credit equity analyst, you're an equity trader, investments, financial planning, financial services consultant. But then obviously there's other things you can do with a finance degree as well. You can go into insurance, you can go into real estate, and you can also go into, most companies also have a finance department because they do need to look and track predictions for where their money is coming and going. So you could really do anything with a finance degree as well. So here are some careers in management. So an HR manager, office manager, small business manager, regional operations manager, retail store manager, hospitality manager. But then one thing I really wanted to point out is a management undergraduate degree is also great for applying to graduate studies in business and especially law. So, some schools might not offer a pre-law track, but if you have something like a management degree, they treat that as the same because management, you're learning about workplace laws and you have to take business law as well. So I just really wanted to point that out. I have a friend who did a management undergraduate degree, is now at Boston College Law, which is a very, very good graduate program for a law degree. Careers in marketing. I do have to say marketing is probably one of the fastest growing things right now because, people are really trying to market themselves. And so product development, market research, advertising services, social media, copywriting, promotion, sales, all of those things are changing as technology changes and we are using technology in different ways. So marketing is a very interesting field of study right now due to technology and the way we're using it. Careers in operations and information management. This is harder for me to explain, but you could go into supply chain management, logistics and transportation planning, consulting, manufacturing. You could be a database administrator, an information management specialist. So really, it's anything where data is involved, and operations information management major could be needed and hired. And then lastly, we have careers in hospitality and tourism management. So, at hotels, you could be a front desk agent, you could be a general manager, a reservations manager, and then in food service, food and beverage manager, restaurant manager, sommelier, and then event management, like corporate sales manager, catering manager. Think of big event spaces that are not being used right now. That's all like hospitality. And then, like I said, I just want everyone to remember there's just not one path you have to follow. Your interests can develop and change as you learn more and new opportunities arise. And you never want to close the door to one path. You want to leave your options completely open and, take your career and your education as it comes.